So guys, in this video we'll read some of the verses of Srimad Bhagavatam first canto, dialogues between Vyasadeva and Narada, right? Narada Bhagwan, Narada says that whatever work is done here in this life for the satisfaction of the mission of the Lord is called Bhakti Yoga, or transcendental loving service to the Lord, and what is called knowledge becomes a concomitant factor. So we'll read this verse and the purport given by Srila Prabhupada. So this verse goes like this: Kurvana yatra karmani bhagavat chikshaya shakrit grananti guna namani krishnasyanus baranti cha. So while performing duties according to the order of Sri Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, one constantly remembers him, his names and his qualities. Okay. Purport: an expert devotee of the Lord can mold his life in such a way that while performing all kind of duties, either for this or next life, he can constantly remember the Lord's name, fame, qualities, etc. The order of the Lord is distinctly there in the Bhagavad Gita. One should work only for the Lord in all spheres of life. In every sphere of life, the Lord should be situated as the proprietor. According to the Vedic rites, even in the worship of some demigods like Indra, Brahma, Saraswati and Ganesha, the system is that in all circumstances, the representation of Vishnu must be there as Yagneshwara, or the controlling power of such sacrifices. It is recommended that a particular demigod be worshipped for a particular purpose, but still the presence of Vishnu Bhagwan is compulsory in order to make the function proper, right? Just like in any official meetings, right, the manager or the head of the team has to be there so that all the team activities go properly. Similarly, the head Vishnu, means Supreme Personality, has to be there. Apart from such Vedic duties, even in our ordinary dealings, for example in our household affairs or in our business or profession, we must consider that the result of all activities must be given over to the Supreme Enjoyer, Lord Krishna. Okay. In the Bhagavad Gita, the Lord has declared himself to be the supreme enjoyer of everything, the supreme proprietor of every planet, and the supreme friend of all beings. No one else but Lord Shri Krishna can claim to be the proprietor of everything within his creation. A pure devotee remembers this constantly, and in doing so he repeats the transcendental name, fame, qualities of the Lord, which means that he is constantly in touch with the Lord. The Lord is identical with his name, fame, and therefore to be associated with his name, fame, etc. constantly means actually to associate with the Lord. The major portion of our monetary income, not less than 50%, must be spent to carry out the order of Lord Krishna. Not only should we give the profit of our earning to this cause, but we must also arrange to preach this cult of devotion to others, because that is also one of the orders of the Lord. The Lord definitely says that no one is more dear to him than one who is always engaged in the preaching work of the Lord's name and fame all over the world. The scientific discoveries of the material world can also be equally engaged in carrying out his order. He wants the message of the Bhagavad Gita to be preached amongst his devotees. It may not be so done amongst those who have no credit of austerities, charity, education, etc. Therefore, the attempt must go on to convert unwilling men to become his devotees. Lord Chaitanya has taught a very simple method in this connection. He has taught the lesson for preaching the transcendental message through singing, dancing and refreshment. As such, 50% of our income may be spent for this purpose. And in this fallen age of quarrel and dissension, in this fallen age of quarrel and dissension, if only the leading and wealthy persons of society agree to spend 50% of their income in the service of the Lord as it is taught by Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, there is absolutely certainty of converting this hell of pandemonium to the transcendental abode of the Lord. No one will disagree to partake in a function where good singing, dancing and refreshment are administered. Everyone will attend such a function and everyone is sure to feel individually the transcendental presence of the Lord. This alone will help the attendant associate with the Lord and thereby purify himself in spiritual realization. The only condition for successfully executing such spiritual activities is that they must be conducted under the guidance of a pure devotee who is completely free from all mundane desires, fruitive activities and dry speculations about the nature of the Lord. No one has to discover the nature of the Lord. It is already spoken by the Lord himself in the Bhagavad Gita especially and in all the Vedic literatures generally. We have simply to accept them in toto and abide by the orders of the Lord. That will guide us to the path of perfection. One can remain in his position, no one has to change his position, especially in this age of variegated difficulties. The only condition is that one must give up the habit of dry speculation aimed at becoming one with the Lord, and after giving up such lofty pout of vanities, one may very submissively receive the orders of the Lord in Bhagavad Gita or Bhagavatam from the lips of a bona fide devotee whose qualification is mentioned above. That will make everything successful and without a doubt. This is a beautiful verse. Whatever work is done here in this life for the satisfaction of the Lord is Bhakti Yoga. Right? Here it is mentioned Bhakti Yoga is considered by some to be another form of karma, but factually Bhakti Yoga is above the karma and jnana yoga. Bhakti Yoga is dependent of jnana, independent of jnana or karma. On the other hand, jnana and karma are dependent on Bhakti Yoga. The Kriya Yoga or Karma Yoga, as recommended by Sri Narada to Vyasa, is specifically recommended because the principle is to satisfy the Lord, right? This is very important. The principle is to satisfy the Lord. That is the one principle of a devotee's life. Okay? The Lord does not want his sons, the living beings, to suffer the threefold miseries of life. He desires that all of them come to him and live with him. But going back to Godhead means that one must purify himself from material infections. Right? When work is performed, therefore, to satisfy the Lord, the performer becomes gradually purified from the material affection. This purification means attainment of spiritual knowledge. Right? If there is ignorance, that means that can be aided by attainment of knowledge. So this is a very beautiful. Engaged in the unalloyed service of the Lord, specifically in hearing and chanting of his transcendental glories, becomes simultaneously spiritually enlightened by the divine grace as confirmed in the Bhagavad Gita. So yeah, beautiful verses, guys. So in the next video we'll come up with some of the verses which are key verses in taking us closer to Bhagwan. Okay, Hare Krishna.